I mean, that's normal. If we got it right on the first try, something seems like it's going wrong.
Yeah, legit.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemachamp or Lucky Track Dog league you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and build it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing. Whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and I give you just the tip, we are sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
Chris says this is Chris first. This is Chrissy. Oh,
There is no Jeff,
there is no Jeff.
No.
and I am mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Welcome to another small block episode. 3.5
Oh.
decades after GM's initial effort that no one remembers back in the 20s, the small block that everyone thinks about from Chevy was actually born, developed as a replacement for the Stoveboat 6-cylinder. The 265 cubic inch 4.3-liter turbo fire engine arrived in 1955 as an option for the Bel Air and Corvette. So if you're not driving your Tri-5 Chevy, get out your bingo card.
Woo.
Why not?
You
Yeah.
never know if you win.
And you get nothing. But a hearty handshake and attaboy and maybe some swag when we see you. Or maybe
Maybe.
we'll mail you something. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's time for what you're working on. Mental. What are you working on?
Just got back from California. We had a 4-day weekend because government stuff. So Thursday went out to LA for Luftkult, which that's showing up in everybody's things. Jeff was talking about how excited he was in TikTok. He ignored apparently the 100 photos I put up on our Instagram stories. And while we're out there, it was just a whole lot of other Porsche air cooled culture type stuff. So we got to go on the professor run from the episode of Porsche Road Trip where they talk about that. Just a really good time with a bunch of really laid back gearhead folks. Rami from the Rami Show, Dwayne Wick from Wick's Garage, and the Dirt or Die podcast. So yeah, just having a good time. How
Got
about
it. So it's a old Porsche thing. I had no idea what it was because even in German that doesn't make sense. So okay, old Porsche thing. Got it. In LA, there must have been a lot of them. Dang.
It's curated by Patrick Long, and they do it at the Long Beach Pier, or they'll do it at different locations. And rather than just have everyone lined up like a firing line, they deliberately place cars in unusual places, and they actively curate and seek out interesting and different cars, and not everyone gets in. In fact, we will link to the Dirt Die podcast where Dwayne's car got accepted and no one else's did, and they were all talking about being Loof rejected. And yeah, so it's an interesting.
What do you do? Is there like a parking lot for rejects?
Well, there's a Porsche only parking lot, which is hilarious because I watched them turn away a gorgeous BMW 2002. And, but that's, and then John Polnick made t-shirts that said Loof rejected. And they said, funny, we understand it's not a cash grab. Please don't do that again.
Wow, this sounds like they have no sense of humor.
And it also sounds, it's stressful to me.
Yeah.
I don't like going and somebody judging me at the door and then be like, yeah, you're not good enough.
Oh no, it's done way beforehand. You get judged way before the show starts because they tell you where to park. I don't know. There was some, one of the 959s was there. There was a 934/5. There was the, as you walked in, the Singer 930 that they just made right next to the carbon fiber.
But it's like
911 is
only
just to work
coolest of the coolest cars.
Yeah, no,
they seem like they're very serious.
Most interesting of cars. There was a 912 there that they drove from New Jersey, and they beat the crap out of it on the professor run, so much so that it was smoking. And then it looked like, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It has to be interesting, not the best. So people thought they had decorated the roof with Coors cans, and it turns out, no, those were empties because they'd started drinking right after they parked the car. That's just where they were putting their cans. So there was some really, there was some art displays and microbreweries and good coffee. And it was just, it was an interesting show. I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially if you're even remotely interested in Porsches. Lots of
We need to make-
356s, 914s, that sort of thing.
We need to bring a trailer rejected shirts.
There you go.
Brought a trailer,
good.
had to use it to take my crap home.
Yeah.
Or didn't bring it anywhere because they wouldn't let me. So there's that.
So,
I hear ya.
Chrissy, what are you working on?
So I have been working on the trim on the front of the house. Chris will tell about what the part that he's been doing. But we are changing the whole front of the house, and it used to be blue in various shades of blue because we painted blue a long time ago, and some of it's rotted, some of it's broken, some of it just hasn't been painted in a while. So I'm making it from blue to white. So it was a couple colors, couple coats and prep and all that good stuff.
That's a bold move because the white shows the dirt.
Chris will tell you why we chose white. So I have also been working. I've been doing an audit at work. So I'm at my job and people are demanding me to work at my job, but I also have to be in a conference room to handle an audit. So it's been really a rough couple days. But I'm here with you guys and that's great. So Chris, tell us the other half of what the house stuff is going on.
I did the trim, which is if anyone's ever been to our house, which it's the second story of the front side of the house is like a Tudor, faux Tudor style, whatever. I wouldn't have picked it, but it was the way the house is, with trim over stucco. And the trim, I don't know how long it's been there, but it was starting to rot and warp and it looked bad. So we said, I'm not painting this stuff again. Wood is terrible for the outside. So we're going to use AZEK PVC trim boards. So we did. Thing with those is you can't paint them any dark color because they expand and contract because they're PVC, and then they bow and flex and do weird things. So we said, all right, well, we need to keep it a light color. We looked at potential little light colors and we said, nah, let's just leave it white. So we left it white. And that way also it's the lowest possible maintenance because there's no paint, and it'll just pressure wash super clean and it's easy. So this is the time white is actually low maintenance.
I love pressure washing too.
Yeah. Clean up the garage after rally and stuff, and we did a scrap metal run. That's always fun to bring all the scrap, and we always play
Over
can
under.
you guess how much scrap we're gonna get today? How much we're gonna get, because you never know. Chrissy lost Price is Right rules by 10 cents. She was 10 cents over by Price is Right rules, so
Chris
she lost.
picks 15. I pick 19 because I always feel adventurous, and it was 18.90.
That is legitimately impressive to be within 10 cents on a scrap.
Well, I
metal.
lost, so there's
Went over
that.
though.
And then Chris even tried, and he was like, "Well, we didn't say Price is Right rules," and I said, "That's assumed." So that's okay. No problem.
True.
Didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
I still got 18.90 for crap, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Great. Dave and Bobbin, what are you guys working on?
I'll let Bobbin start. Go ahead.
The kitten.
Kitten. Fantastic.
We trapped the kitten behind Dave's house right when we got back.
Yeah.
And he has a cold. He's very sneezy. So I said, it's time. He has to come in. And so we got him, but he's at my house because there's nowhere for Dave to quarantine him. So yeah. So that's been fun and cute. And
That's
his
great.
name is up still.
Yeah, we're still fighting over the name.
It's
We're
a
the
thing.
leading contenders.
It always happens.
There's a lot of
Yes.
fun.
What are the contenders? We'll put it to the listeners that probably know both of you. Anyway.
So Cheeto, he's orange. And it goes with the car. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Uh-huh.
I like it.
That's my favorite. I like Milo too. Max is cute. He's so cute.
Lager. Mud flap.
No, what did Tim wanted? I don't
No,
even know.
Tim said Motul,
Motul. I like it.
So,
right?
oh my gosh.
Wow.
Anyway,
Every one
Lando.
of those names are really good. All of those names. Lando. Yeah. 'cause-
Lando.
And we'll talk. Well, actually, we put it in since it can't be Ricardo anymore.
No.
Nobody picks that
so
anyway.
I think I should have naming rights though, because I'm the one, because I've taken him to the vet twice. He got diarrhea from the medication. And I had to
Oh,
clean all that
yeah.
And he peed on Julia's bed, so I had to clean that up. And so I should totally have naming rights.
How old?
He's about 13 weeks old.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
13.
getting him back.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Yeah.
Facebook.
The cutest.
Well, Dave, remember as you're deciding this, that as we discussed during the rally, Bobbin is always correct.
Always
You are
correct.
occasionally correct. So,
Yeah,
But
you know.
even when you're occasionally correct, I'm still right.
right.
yes. Yeah, we determined that. That was agreed upon. Good. Excellent.
Oh, wow.
So
Sounds
I've been starting race prep for New Hampshire.
Good idea.
Yeah,
That's a
well,
thing.
getting ready for the rally kind of put all that stuff off of it because
Absolutely.
I had to do quite a bit of work on the rally car. There was just things that could have just sent it, but I didn't feel like fixing on the side of the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Especially because
Don't know anything
some
about
others
that.
you might know.
I
Right?
mean,
Yeah,
but
don't
you're
know what
already
you're
on the
talking
side
about.
of the road, so you just could have done that, but that's fine.
No,
I
they
mean-
ate chips.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I requested the chips, actually.
I was like,
Yep.
well, we have apples. Chrissy goes, no.
Has to be chips.
Apples. No, it's going to be chips.
Well, what does the Crest hit a need before New Hampshire? Curious.
Not much. Routine maintenance breaks because now we finally got ST43s in. I'm going to change the starter because it was acting up at Thompson, and just routine maintenance. Fluids
Oh,
and
that's
such.
nice.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
That's great. Ready?
Excellent. Ready?
News and notes time. From Reuters and elsewhere, we finally have some flying cars. Well, one flying car. On Monday, a flying car built by Chinese electric vehicle maker Zhangping. I practiced this. Darn it.
Zaji.
Xi Ping, thank you. I know. Its first public flight in the United Arab Emirates. Video linked in our show notes. Right now, the company is looking to launch the electric aircraft on international markets. The E-Volt VTOL, Volt, whatever. X2 is a 2-seat vertical takeoff and landing is lifted by 8 propellers, 2 at each of corner of the vehicle. The demo flight lasted 90 minutes. The flying car maker described the demo as important base for the next generation of flying cars. The general manager, Mingguan Q, was quoted, "We are making step-by-step moves to the international market. We first selected Dubai City because Dubai is the most innovative city in the world." Wow. In addition to the all-electric, it has an autopilot. Oh, because that's exactly what we need. The 40-year-old George Jetson was born on July 31st, 2022, and its future flying cars may very well be within his and other children born in this lifetime.
I think the real reason they started in Dubai is because where's the place where people have more money than they know what to do with and are willing to waste it on stupid things and limited regulation? There you go.
There was part of it that was the only city that would allow them to fly it, but the pricing of that car right now is targeted between 185 and 225, which is less than a Lamborghini.
It's pretty futuristic looking.
So many crashes.
We'll see.
Great. Well, General Motors is getting into the power game. Frank Marcus at Motor Trend gives us the lowdown. The General just established a new business unit called GM Energy. Their stated purpose is to independently market energy management and resiliency solutions, especially in the wake of the rolling California blackouts and other unstable grid areas. Looking at you, Texas. The plan is to utilize their fuel cell and Ultium battery systems to provide energy security broken down into 3 subsets. Ultium Commercial is a 1 megawatt battery-based energy storage that can be used as a failure backup or stabilize their power costs by charging during off hours and discharge during peak usage. GM EV owners can get an Ultium Home biodirectional EV charging with a vehicle to grid energy sharing. Think of your truck or car powering your house when needed. And finally, there's the already existing Ultium Charge 360 being moved to a new division. This makes various charging networks available through a single GM mobile app and might be expanded on a contract basis to other brands. And I read more about this. Actually, the thing they're excited about is that, Friday afternoon in California, right? Everyone comes home, turns on their air conditioners, turns on lights, turns on everything, right? And that's when the big peak is. But that's not when you need your car to charge because you just got home. You don't really need your car to charge right then. Your car just has to charge by the next day. So if they can use some of the power from the car right then at peak load, and then overnight when no one's using anything, charge all the cars back up, like it kind of creates a a capacitor in the system for things that are there, but they have to know what's actually going to be there and have some stability based on it. So that's kind of where they're thinking of going with this, which makes some sense, really.
And
You
the
gotta
same
think of
thing with that,
think
the
of it
commercial
holistically.
unit. Yeah, the commercial unit, you could charge it up overnight when power is at low demand usage. And then the next day when you need to run your business, you could use that unit to try and stabilize your power cost and lessen the demand on the grid.
These are the weird solutions that are going to have to get figured out in the next 15 years.
Yeah. And finally, The Fastest Woman on Earth will stream starting on October 20th on HBO Max. This documentary follows the legendary gearhead fabricator and racer Jessie Combs during her 7-year quest to break the land speed racing record. If you haven't seen the trailer, you should. It shows archive footage from her previous attempts, interviews with her family, her friends, her teammates, along with some very honest interviews of Combs herself. A link is in our notes. And if you watch it, don't get at least a little tingle, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast. Angel Sergeev at motor1.com has the story about the story. Jessie Combs passed away in August of 2019 after a tragic accident in the Alvord Desert during a land speed record attempt. She was attempting to beat her previous record of 398 miles per hour, which she had set herself in 2013. And after her death, the Guinness Book of World Records officialized her achievements for officiated her achievements posthumously because she reached 522.7 miles an hour.
Great lady.
Fast.
It is.
It is. Now, I put this picture in here and failed to actually assign it to anyone, but
That's okay. Tell us about it.
You got it, Menzel.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you guys know we love Racing Junk. We do. They don't pay us. I mean, we hang out. They email us. They give us pens. We got to do some stuff at their booth at PRI. And we actually got offered a free membership after we'd already bought one. But that's the thing. So right now, they're giving you the same offer that we got, which is a yearly club membership, and it's only $29.95. And you can link to that. That'll be in our show notes. It will give you 5 ad placements, $65 worth of ad upgrades, 50 photos per ad, a free video in every ad. You get a member label, you get higher ad placement, you get faster browsing because it turns off all of the ads, and you get discounts on various racing consumer products. We're on Racing Junk all the time, not just looking for stuff for the shows, but just because it's a great thing today. I was looking at a Formula Ford located in Texas for sale. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Right?
that's
There's
fun.
all kinds. Exactly. They've got great stuff on there. And if you're trying to sell something, Racing Junk is a great place to go because it's an entire national network of people out there, and it's going to end up in their newsletters. They're other people who talk about it on their podcast. So if you are looking to buy and sell, racingjunk.com, if you're looking to do it a lot, consider that impressive offer. $30 get you an entire year of a club membership, racingjunk.com.
Totally worth it. You spend more crap on for $30 than Racing Junk with no ads. Come
Seriously,
on.
that's
Yeah.
that is a meal at Chili's
That's-
for one person.
You
right?
spent more on stupider stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm all about that. Okay, upcoming races. Lemons is at the Ridge, one of my favorite tracks in the world. Smells like AMC Spirit. There are 42 cars there. 1 BMW.
Wonderful.
Wow. 1 Miata, 1 Honda, no Porsches. And one of the 3 Subaru teams is Dial 555 head gasket. That's amazing.
That's about right. Yep.
Greatest Lemons grid ever. Check it out. Watch it on Race
Nice.
Monitor or however you watch races.
Pacific Northwest, doing it right.
Amazing.
Lucky Dog at Chuckwalla down in the desert. 38 cars, 15 BMWs, sad trombone,
We'll
9
see.
Miatas, 2 Hondas, 2 Porsches, and wave your arm toilets or poop in the dark.
They don't have that.
Chuckwalla, they barely have toilets, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, at least when we were there, the generator went out at night, and of course, Lemons race, other people get gas and get it going again to start back up, and everything works again. So, yeah.
So invite Lemons to your racetrack because they'll fix your stuff.
Kind
for
of.
you.
Although
Yeah.
that was brand new when we got there. Very
Yeah.
new, correct? I
Yeah.
think. So
All right. So go. Yeah, do it. Do it. Excellent. Some weeks ago, we talked about Hungry Bill from the Grassroots Motorsports Forum and how he was collecting supplies to help people in the Ukraine. You, listener, like many others, stepped up and helped, and he reached out to us to say, quote, "Hey everyone, Hungry Bill from Grassroots Motorsports here. Just wanted to say thank you again for mentioning my last UK run on your podcast back in August." He gave us a quick by the numbers. He was able to deliver 200 kilograms of humanitarian aid to the residents of Dnipro. And that included school supplies, stuffed animals, children's medical supplies, and over $5,000 worth of stuff. It also included a 12-channel portable EKG machine for the 31 displaced children that are there. This particular trip was not without peril. While he was in Dnipro, it was attacked 4 times, as well as the day before and the day after he left. The missile defense systems put an effective umbrella over the city. A house was destroyed in a nearby neighborhood, but Bill added, quote, "Luckily, no one was hurt." We will have a link to the efforts Bill is still making in our show notes. Thank all listeners for your support. We are humbled that Bill listens to us while he's wrenching on his 4Runner. Right now, he's prepping it for a Budapest to Bamako 2022 rally, but he's going to be back in the Ukraine in December.
Yeah, Bamako is in Africa, by the way. So that's the kind of drive he's talking about. And the thread he's got on GRM is great. He's doing all this in his 4Runner that is appropriately janky, that he's been hacking back together. And to put the windows up and down in this whole trip, he has to reach in the door, find the right wires, and splice them together to get the windows up and down.
That's terrifying.
Oh, so next time you're at the junkyard and you see a 4Runner with power windows, it's a first gen, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but like when he's going to some of these military checkpoints, he's like zap, 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 let the window down. Yeah. Good job, Bill.
Wow.
Anyway, Brian S saw the rally pics and said, y'all got Faces vet for the A team. I have no idea what that means.
The TV show, the A Team, towards the latter seasons, Face drove a Corvette like yours.
Oh, cool. Yep. Thanks, Brian.
And yeah, I had this for Jeff, who's not here, but on the gas station picture, Jaime from the Race FF pod was absolutely, you had put a picture of the Corvette on the digital display from the Chevron station, and Jaime was like, 3-spoke wheels. That's so 80s. Yeah.
It was great when I just sat there fueling up the car, and when the car you were actually driving and fueling up comes up on the gas pump, that was great. I couldn't resist.
That was exciting.
Yeah, I don't have those cool wheels though. Mine are a different kind of rad. But yeah. Anyway, Chrissy.
Oh, I have to do all of the thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know this one needed a sim racing.
So we're thinking, is it time to bring this back? And with Dave here, this is the perfect person to ask. Like, I know Dave, you've been doing it anyway. You've been having some other Monday night stuff, but we decided to take the summer off because we're all busy. What do you think? Is it time to bring this back? E1R Monday nights?
Yes, absolutely. No doubt.
Okay.
We've actually continued doing it. Like, I've been setting it up every Monday night anyway. And
Great.
We've been getting the same core group, but I think a little more promotion. Maybe we'll get some more people. Maybe change the format a little bit.
Okay. Sounds good. So what changes do you think we should make? Like, before, in the past, we've just done it like, whatever. Like, what do you want to run? All right, fine. And just put some stuff in. So like, let's talk it through. And obviously we want to hear from anybody else that has any comments on this. Tell us, what do you want? But Dave, what do you think? Like, you do more of this than any of the rest of us. You tell us.
This one's shaking her head. Yeah.
So much.
I think we should do some of the same thing and then maybe throw in some, like, I'll say, quote, actual races, like maybe instead of
real racing,
two separate, not real. No,
it's
not real. It's fake racing.
It's a game.
Instead of having, like every week, just nonsense races, throw in, every couple of weeks or every 3 weeks, like something, a little bit of a, say, like an hour race or something, what's the race.
Longer stuff. Okay.
Yeah. But change it up, go back and forth.
Now, I did enjoy when we did the touring cars for a while last year, because it was nice having kind of a similar car every week that was fairly easy to drive and that you could get a decent setup on and you felt kind of comfortable with. Should we do something like, should we pick a kind of spec-ish kind of group of cars this time, or should we move it around, or what?
No, I think we move it around a little bit, but like instead of setting up races with 7 different cars, when you have like a dozen people, it's, a couple guys racing together here and a few others racing there. I think when everybody's in the same class or the same car or similar cars, that the racing's actually better.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah,
more
you're not at
acceptable.
Monza with a silver crown and a dirt modified and
Right.
a touring car and
Right.
yeah.
And a legend, right.
Yeah.
In a Formula E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
I
but
think
then
there's some
all right,
discussion in there for sure.
let's give that a try. But let's also then occasionally have the ridiculous things like
Oh, absolutely.
sprint cars with the jump at Irwindale just because it's hilarious to watch. Okay.
V's at Crandon or something like that,
All right.
Those are always
right.
fun.
Mental, what do you think? Any chance we'll actually see you in the next couple months on one of these?
My rig's been disassembled. I'm not even sure I still have an iRacing subscription. It's in one corner. I know it's in one corner of the house.
All right.
I'm not gonna say you won't. I'm just not gonna obligate myself saying you will, because then I don't make it, and I don't like being a liar.
We always have the Black Friday specials for renewals. Just keep aware of that.
Totally got him not less than twice, at least
Yeah,
for his birthday, Christmas or something.
Because despite your taste in boyfriends, you're smart.
I am always right.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, if there's anything you guys want to see or might make you more likely to attend or anything like that, tell us. Have open all ears. Really have zero qualms about doing anything with it. Excellent.
They could even go into the Discord if they've already run with us. Go into the Discord and put some comments in there too. Some of the guys that have already run with us that are already in the Discord.
The ones that, the regulars, they should, have a good firm voice. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. If anyone forgets, we're usually this Monday at 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern, and it's called E1R, and the password is ST43. Simple enough.
You gave it out.
That's okay. If they're listening, they can go. We're just keeps the 14-year-olds that are going to just go
exactly. Everyone knows it's ST43.
Yeah.
I know.
You know who else's iRacing subscription is expired?
That would be amazing.
Chrissy's mom.
Yeah.
Hello, Chrissy's mom.
She hasn't driven.
Yeah. I saw Chrissy's dad today. He dropped off a bucket that Chrissy loaned him full of birds. It
was full of bird seed.
Yeah, free bucket is back. Also, the other thing, we went to Harbor Freight the other day when we were out.
We
our big day out.
What did you buy?
I bought a dual bevel compound miter saw, 12-inch blade.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous saw. Good to do the trim work, because I have this little stupid miter saw I've been using for everything for years, which is fine for 2x4s, and that's about it. It's good for a little trim work too, but I wanted something more heavy duty, so I bought this ridiculous saw. And as part of all that, we got a free bucket. Yay! Yes. We always need a free bucket,
especially when you buy 40 pounds of birdseed and some stupid squirrel eats through the bag. Because
it's not the squirrel's fault. You left it outside overnight. The squirrel's like, this is great. There's a buffet.
I did that, and then I put it in my free bucket. Anyway, main topic time.
We were just on a rally. We went on the Lemons Fall Failiage around New England, and it's about time we tell you about it. We were supposed to do this last week. My fault. I was driving home in said rally car. It only died 3 times on me on the way home from Cape Cod, but we can talk more about that as we keep going, because we're going to talk all about how the rally was. That's why we're here with Dave and Bobbin. They were on the rally too. They had plenty of good fun laughing at our failures and supporting us and just being wonderful company on the rally. So we're just going to go through what our experience was. Sound good, guys?
Absolutely.
All right. So I think let's start off with the cars, because the cars are always a focus. We can talk about what our cars were, and then the other things that we saw as we showed up at Lars Anderson in Brookline, Massachusetts. So start off with telling us a little bit about your fine steed on this journey.
Our fine steed, I actually found, or was actually offered 3 years ago by the guys in Queens that I have made contact with since getting this Cressida, the race car. And the funny story is the Cressida race car was owned by one of them when it was still a street car. So anyway, he had picked this car up from somebody, one owner. It only had like 85,000 miles on it. A little bit of rust, but the brake lines in the back were rotted through, and he just didn't have time to mess with it. So I bought the car for like $800. and as a future possible Lemons car, like a replacement chassis.
And this
And,
isn't what is it for those who may not know exactly?
This one is an 88 Toyota Cressida.
Okay.
Stick with what you know.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I've got every part under the sun for a Cressida. So
What was it
Kinda
that
makes
happened,
sense.
Chris? Like somebody mentioned him to him, but
Yes.
didn't know it was him.
Oh yeah, we were totally at one station and talking with some other rally people. They had 3 air-cooled Volkswagens, so you know they're mentally ill. And they were asking about the Cressida, like, oh, we haven't seen one of these in years. Oh, hey, you know, someone races one of these in Lemons in the Northeast and does really well with it.
So
And
funny.
I was like, yeah,
What?
him.
Oh, you should have said like, no, that guy's a dick. Oh my God! Wait, I hate him.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah,
No.
Dave got referenced to himself.
That's
He was
amazing.
talking to the guy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know that
Yep.
guy. He fondled me for years.
Oh no.
that was Tom.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
So, but yeah, so anyway, yeah, bought that car as possible future Lemons car. And then we talked about doing a rally like several years, but especially this one, the fall rally, but it always ran right into the race in New Hampshire. So it was like, couldn't really do both. You know, we even talked
Turned into a
about.
cow. I'm sorry.
So
Wait,
they've got this
wait,
great background.
I was gonna
on
say
the
you don't
Zoom
understand that
background
if
behind
you-
them, which is a bunch of cows, and Dave's head is right in front of the cow with the biggest face. So if he leans back slightly, his head turns into a cow. So it's good times on the video if you ever wanted to watch it.
Bobbin's crying over here.
Yeah.
So I got derailed. Yeah. So anyway, we even actually talked about 1 year of like having Aaron bring the race car up, and then we do the rally, but then the rally wasn't ending until like showing up to the track till like Saturday late. So it just wasn't gonna work. And it was nice when we saw that when they released the schedule that they separated them by a few weeks. Like, oh, we're definitely doing it, you know. So but yeah, I had fixed the car and had it on the road a few years ago, but just haven't really been driving it much. The air conditioning didn't work. You know, and it just convenience of it. And then had to kind of get my ass in gear and get it roadworthy, you know, for this rally. So the air conditioning still doesn't work. It's got a leak, but full rally, don't need air conditioning. But as I was driving it, started hearing noises and other things that were kind of getting worse and worse. And yeah, I had to do some work on it before we, you know, before we actually got started on it.
Like, what kind of things you need to do?
Oh,
that was
so,
any significant.
Well, the first noise I heard was like a bearing noise from the rear. So I decided to, instead of messing around with trying to swap bearings, because it's a real pain in the ass to change the rear bearings in this car. You have, you know, needing a press and what have you. So just like the race car, I swapped out the rear arm, used one of the race car spare arms to do it, and got it all back together, started driving it some more back and forth to work. And then I heard another grinding noise that was progressively getting worse. And I narrowed it down to most likely like a pinion gear and a differential starting to go. And so I had to swap out the rear diff the Friday before the rally.
We're running out of spare parts for the actual race car.
Yes, the race car is, yeah, I do have another diff, but
Uncle Dave will be slightly less prepared this time.
Slightly less prepared. But otherwise, that was it. I mean, everything else, the car was actually
No.
What else?
The roof leak.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, the thing, you know, that leaked on the passenger side of the car.
Oh, because he forgot about that naturally.
Yeah.
No
Well,
problem.
actually, my test drives, or like while I was driving it, I ripped it up to about 90 to see how it handled, and the windshield trim just flew off the front of the windshield and uncovered a couple of rust holes, I guess, and I'm pretty sure it's the original windshield, and all the plastic clips that hold in the windshield trim, like the double face tape, was just like dry and just decrepit. So I was actually able to get another piece of windshield trim and put some windshield sealer
From
like
California.
Permatex, yeah, from California. and was able to, I thought, stop the leak. And luckily it didn't rain on the rally, but on the way home, or actually it was after we got home and I was driving back to my house and the windshield's still leaking. So,
But we had beautiful weather, so
yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the weather was great.
It was great.
But
Excellent.
The car is actually, it's got some rust, but a lot less than the race car actually does.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, I'm at that point with it where it's like, do I really just fix everything half-assed because it's going to eventually be a Lemons car, or do I kind of like fix it semi-right? So maybe if I don't turn it into a Lemons car, it's still a decent car, you know? So it's a good driver. I mean, the car runs like a
Yeah. And for those that aren't familiar with Cressidas, this is a 2.8 liter double overhead cam straight six. This is an automatic transmission. This is a luxury suspension. We'll put it that way, because going through corners, it was funny. In the Corvette, it just zips through corners. And watching in the rearview mirror, this thing just lean on its door handles, and Bobbin falls over into Dave in the corner. Or vice versa.
No problem.
And she's over here saying, I'm going to get sick if we keep doing this. I'm going to get sick if we try to do it.
Maybe so.
yeah, that was mostly when we were behind you guys, Chris. He's like, oh, I have to do that.
I can keep up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I forgot, because that's the one thing the Corvette does well, is go around corners, and I just don't even think of it. I'm and I look in the mirror and see the Cressida hustle, and said, "Oh, okay, hang on.
Nice. That's
I got to
nice.
slow down a little bit."
I was having a good time. It wasn't bothering me a bit.
Good.
No, not.
All right. Yeah, and
I
so
wouldn't.
Paul, right. So I was there with my friend Paul. We've known each other since high school. This car was his dad's originally. Dad bought it brand new. It's 84 Corvette, 4+3 transmission, Z51 suspension, red with tan. It's been a guy put so much work into this car in the last year and change. You've heard me talk about it on the show many, many times. I got it as good as I knew how to get it at this point. I'd even driven it a 200-mile round trip, and you heard of what happened on the little extra show last time about getting it up to the Cape. Well, it was dying as progressively with throttle, with more throttle, it would die. And that amount of throttle got down to like just off idle until you let it cool off for 5 minutes. And then you'd buy yourself half an hour. So that was a problem. I loaded the parts cannon when I was at the Cape for the night before. And, so Thursday night, I'm out in the driveway in the dark with a headlamp, just putting parts in. I started off with the ignition system thinking, well, that could be it, coil or ignition module, because General Motors. So I'd gotten those, and I took apart the distributor cap. And as soon as I did, I was looking and saying, what is that thing in the top of the rotor? Turns out the button in the center of the distributor cap that goes from the coil, to all the other cylinders had broken in half, and bottom was rattling around in the top of the rotor. So fortunately, GM HEI distributor is available at every local flap. So it's 7:58 p.m. The local AutoZone had one for $18. So got that in, said, well, hopefully that's it. Let's see how it goes. Left the next morning at 4:30, headed out, and it was running wonderfully as I went and picked Paul up, and had to sit in all kinds of ridiculous traffic because there was an accident on 93 North going into Boston, even though I left the Cape at 4:45 in the morning. But at that time in the morning, it was nice and cool. The car was great, had overdrive engaged, had 80s rock music on, and it was rocking out. And at the time, and picked Paul up, and we made it to Lars Anderson in Boston. And I don't know, there was a lot of interesting stuff there. What do you guys remember that you saw that you thought was of note when we were there?
Man, there was so many cars.
Yeah, there were like 45, I think, finally ended up making it.
Like that. And I don't know, I think there was, of course, when I saw the Econoline van with the roof cut off, and I'm like, well, that I think we're done. I think I don't know. I guess you get max points for like a convertible, permanent convertible or something.
Yeah.
There was just many. Edsel was awesome. The Edsel and the Imperial were
yeah.
absolute.
It was a 59 Edsel sedan that was a 6-cylinder 2-speed transmission, and that they were from Connecticut. Those are racers too. The Chrysler Imperial, I think that was a 62 maybe, but it was teal. It was enormous. It was gorgeous. That thing was great. Let's see. Well, I'm trying to think what else. There was an ambulance that was frightening. Like the patina level was so bad. It was so terrible. And apparently that was leaking massive amounts of oil everywhere, but it was a disturbing looking ambulance. There was the 3 air-cooled VWs, 1 van, 2 bugs that were running together, and they even had a spare engine in the bus just in case for any of them. And they left copious amounts of oil. That's the thing. Every time we'd stop for a checkpoint, you'd always could tell where you were in the right spot because there's all the fresh oil spots all over the ground everywhere we went. Our friends from Cheese Bolt were there with their Taurus MT5 manual transmission 86 Taurus and their Ford testing setup, which was an excellent commitment to the theme that they had. That was with David and Greg.
There was the Pinto wagon that had like the, what do you call it, the round.
It was the cruising wagon. Yep. There was an El Camino that had a Mercedes diesel swapped into it that had 2 adults and 2 large dogs all in the cab of the El Camino for the week.
Really big dogs.
They were big dogs in the cab. There's so much more. I'm not even remembering.
That little MG with all the toys on the back.
Oh yeah, MG midget. Yep, that was a 14-year-old and his dad, and they just piled stuff on the trunk lid and the luggage rack. It was fantastic because it was that kid's birthday, and one of the challenges that Jeff gave everybody is take stuff you find on the side of the road and give it to Max for his birthday. So everybody did. It was amazing the stuff they found.
Oh yeah, there's toys and all kinds of parts. Somebody had given them like some kind of a wing or spoiler or something off of a car. And we were at one of the stops and they were trying to figure out where to put it. How to put it on the car.
Now, before we get too far into this, because 90% of our listeners know exactly what you guys are talking about. What is a Lemons Rally and what is it you're trying to do? You mentioned points.
Well, the Lemons Rally is, for simply put, is like a scavenger hunt, and they have a whole point system. I didn't go into the weeds of like trying to figure out points because we lost points right away by bringing a Toyota, by a Japanese made car, and only get a few points back for the age because it's from the 80s. But there's points on what you bring, and everything from the country of origin, of course, the decade it was made,
how terrible it is, how terrible you are,
how it is, your theme, just there's all kinds of points on just what you bring. Like I said earlier, there's you get points for a convertible, points, extra points if the top doesn't work, and then I think if you completely cut the roof off, you get even like more points.
Yes. Yep.
So,
well, it depends on every rally's got different ones.
Right.
And then you get points on your route too. They give you a route book for the day of checkpoints to make, and there are different levels of points for each checkpoint where you go and take a picture of your car and post it on Instagram with the right hashtags. And Eric Rude sits there all day looking at Instagram hashtag pictures and counting points. And that mostly you just try to make it, I think, really.
Yeah. I think it depends on like what your level of commitment when you're going into it, or what you want out of it is, you want to hit every stop and all the bonus points, because there's bonus challenges that you can get extra points for each day.
What were some of the bonus challenges on this one?
What do we have? Yeah, go ahead.
The first one was
it
the one I remember is the lake thing. No, the crash plane. There's also mystery scavenger hunt places where like lemons, I think that was like hashtag lemons find it. So they gave you like an idea of what you were looking for. So the first one was a small commuter plane crashed in 1980 something, and 11 out of 12 people on board survived. Go find it.
On the spot.
Yeah. So they gave us the town. So as it turns out, my daughter's boyfriend grew up in that town. So yes. So we found the reference to the flight because they gave you the town, But then we like, okay, well, where the hell is that? So, because it was some random, like, there was no address. It was like, and you Googled where it said it was, and it was not an address. So I'm like, dude, where is this? I'm texting him. We had just left his house a couple of hours
That's
ago.
awesome.
And he's like, and then I found a reference to like an intersection, and he's like, oh, I know where that is. And so
There's
I said,
Howie.
there's Howie, yeah.
Hi,
And
Howie.
Yep. That was
so I
later
said,
on. That was
send it
the
to me
next
on a
day.
map. I said, send it to me on a map. So he dropped a pin on a map and sent it to me. So
That's
we found
awesome. Oh,
Um,
good.
that was that one. That wasn't the first. That wasn't
There
the
was-
first stupid thing. What
There
was
was
the first
Uncle
stupid
Sam's
thing?
grave site. That was, I think, a bonus one.
I forget the first
Weird
stupid thing.
weird stuff. Basically, look up an
Oh
Atlas
no, it was
Obscura.
the clip clop coconut
The coconuts.
thing.
Oh,
Like if
yes.
we were gonna go to the castle that we didn't go to because we were
Yeah.
too busy fixing your car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
To be fair, we were not really going,
Oh.
but yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So you
So-
basically, Bobbin was our route master. She
Oh,
looked at all these things and started Googling and figuring out where we should go. And she did a wonderful job of that. So, yeah, because
Yeah,
if you haven't met
it's-
Bobbin, she's organized.
And we all
Super
agreed
organized.
like we didn't want to go through the heavily trafficked areas of Connecticut, so that worked out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
all
had a
agreed
lovely
that-
drive once. No, it was very nice. So day one, we start off, we leave, the official route would go down, and it's not an official route, it's just checkpoints you're going to go on. So the official route would go down outside of Boston, through some southern suburbs, eventually through Providence, Rhode Island, through couple other Rhode Island towns, and then down kind of along the southern coast of Connecticut before kind of heading north after Hartford, working your way up to northern Connecticut and then over into upstate New York along the Hudson and then up to Albany. We skipped the southern stuff. But on the way, we're leaving Brookline, heading down VFW Parkway, and I decided I had incredible deja vu because this is the route that I used to take from my house to my high school, which is also right next to where Paul's house was. So I'm sitting with Paul in his car that he had in high school on the road that I used to drive from our house, and it was like, this is way too flashback right now. So, but the car was running fine in the morning, even though it had been in all kinds of traffic. Things were good. Make it to the first stop. Get out. Sorry, Paul, it's your turn to drive. You haven't driven this car in 20 something years. Let's do it. So he gets in and he's like, man, I don't remember the shifter and clutch being this bad. I'm like, yeah, they're not very good. It's just the way it is. I was like, sometimes you got to give it an extra pump just to make sure it's up the top. And he's like pumping the hell out of it. I'm like, I don't remember it being that bad. And then so eventually he tells me like, yeah, there's like nothing there. I'm like, oh, okay. And he tells me this just as we're getting into Providence, as we pull up to a
Getting
stop.
to the exit.
Right. And he's coming up behind Dave. He steps on the clutch and like nothing happens and the car stalls because it's in second gear and you can't clutch in. And we push around the corner and sure enough, the car pulls up behind us is Amanda, from West Coast Racers. Will know Amanda just by one name, Amanda. Everyone knows Amanda there. She's doing the rental car run. So she's right behind us. Nice to see her. So we pop the hood and there's clutch fluid spewed out of the reservoir onto the master cylinder end of the brake booster. Like, what the hell is going on? I'm pumping it. I can get it to come back up. It's okay. We keep going because we're on the side of the road in the middle of Providence. So we get our couple checkpoints. We're nursing it along, and it's okay. We stop for lunch, and as soon as we stop for lunch, I get out of the car. I reach over, hit the door lock, close the door, and I said, oh no, because I had locked the keys in the car in the ignition because all our other cars have fobs. And
I'll tell you before you can't even get out of the car without telling you that the
Right.
the key's still in the car.
Right. Like I
And
should
there's some
just
signal.
yeah. So nope, keys in the ignition, locked them in. It's great. So yeah, so Dave and Bob were getting gas. I texted them, yeah, lock the keys in the car. Here's where we're having lunch. So fortunately, Paul had his AAA card. So we called AAA, and while we had lunch, we waited for AAA. Eventually, a very nice young gentleman came, and he was very careful about opening the car up. This I've never seen the thing he used. It was this little inflatable bag that goes between the window and the car, and you pump it up, and that is what gently pushes the window out. Like, I'm used to these wedges they just put in there and hammer down, and they don't care. This kid was very gentle with this, and you got the long stiff rod in there. Yeah, he did, and was able to hit the unlock button on the passenger door to do that, and we got back in. And we actually lost basically no time from losing the keys in the car, but it was a fun thing to post.
The car was older than that kid.
Oh, totally.
He was terrified.
That's
terrified.
Oh, because I think he thought I liked it because I look, you know.
I think he thought it was a really valuable car.
Yeah.
What's it say on your shirt, Dave? I feel like that was probably apropos after a few minutes.
Can't pick something, chuck an F and wrench.
Right through the window. That would have
I
gotten
like
you the
it, I like
access.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I was wearing the Corvette official owner's costume. I mean, I had the
Yes.
white sneakers, the jorts, the white socks up, the Hawaiian shirt, and the logo Corvette jacket, which was funny that one time we were in a gas station and a random person was like, "Oh, hey, that's your Corvette out there, right?" I'm like, part of me thinks, how can you tell? You know?
Oh no.
Yep. And he was actually very excited.
Yeah, and then what about Paul's attire too? You know,
Paul
Oh my
80s it up.
gosh.
He had the first day he had on these multi neon color short shorts and incredible
And
like
a fanny bag.
Yep, ski jacket. Yeah, I think that was day 2. He brought the fanny pack out, the neon orange fanny pack. I mean, the 80s stuff he had, the acid wash jean jacket.
He had tags on the clothes, like from Bradley's. And, I don't know, like
What nice touches.
Yep.
That's amazing.
He had a Varney shirt that had tags from Filene's Basement. Yeah, the
Wow.
sweatbands, the glasses. Yeah, he
brought,
did a great job.
Glow sticks were in the little bag.
in this fanny pack. Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
I had that jacket in high school. I think
Not
someone
surprised.
bought that
My
for
mom
me for Christmas once.
too.
Yeah. So they did a great job. Paul did a great job with the theming. He even found a
Paul
vintage
brought the party.
1986 Barry the Bears shirt from when the Pats and Bears played in the Super Bowl. Yeah,
Lost.
good stuff.
And he
And-
had
terribly.
like 80s video game t-shirts like Donkey Kong and Super Mario, but
Oh, yeah,
like from
Duck Hunt
the
one.
80s, like the
Yep.
old
yeah.
Duck Hunt. Oh my god, that was so funny.
Those were, he did a great job. So we missed your theme. I mean, you had a black. The black is not a theme, but you
Black is not a theme.
Orange is the only thing.
It's not a theme though.
No,
That's-
because
Orange
as
isn't
Jeff-
a thing.
even
Orange
the
is not a
judges
theme.
wear orange, mental.
Sure.
So our theme, I'll let Bobbin explain it because actually all her idea.
Only because it was Boston. So that's Be a Man Mafia. So there's this self-created comedian / TikToker or whatever. So you want me to explain, but now you're going to explain it. So
I'll correct you.
Be a
It's
man.
day. So he mental's dead. So this guy, his whole shtick is be a jerk, like be a sexist pig, and like say all these things like if something, not this his shirt, which is not like the sexist pig stuff, but like what was like if your girl, or he says broad, threatens to leave, help her pack.
Be a man.
Be a man. And so his tagline at the end of each thing is be a man. So, and he's out of Boston. So he had been watching it and showing me these clips periodically.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, well, we should do that because, it's Boston.
Right.
And so that was it. And so he got the flag, and ironically, like, there's 3 p.m. Well, this one is be a man mafia. So anyway.
Yeah, basically the Be a Man it's like a group of comedians out of Boston, and just out of a gag, they did like a TikTok video a few years ago with this guy, and he's I think he won't let his real name out because he wants to still keep some privacy because he's like 63 years
Or-
old.
A job.
Yeah, well, I think I think he's actually probably retired because many of them have gone viral, and it's really mocking men and the ridiculousness that things that
I
men
think
do.
I think I've seen this one. It's give your girl a nickname she can't stand, and he's like, "Hey, sweet cheeks, get over here."
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, man.
absolutely one of my favorites.
So yes, there's like countless ones. You know, like the chuck of an effing wrench. It don't go to a mechanic. Watch YouTube videos. Be a man. Just there's tons of them. So and it's just everything went viral, but most of it's just like mocking how ridiculous men can be. It's actually more. It's being sexist and misogynist and ridiculous because that's the way men can be. And because they're out of Boston, she thought it was like an easy theme to do, something we could do. What else were we going to do? You know, like
with a very
black
reliable black
Cressida.
Toyota Cressida
you know,
that doesn't break down.
Yakuza.
like something we could do easily.
Oh, that one needs sound for the full effect.
Yes, sad trombone has to be on the. Yeah, that's a video from the Cressida of the Corvette gradually coasting to a stop on the side of the road.
On the
Yep.
interstate.
Yeah,
If
totally.
I'm not mistaken, right after you just done like a fourth gear pull on him or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was right after the clip you showed earlier with the quote unquote race, where we both get passed by a
Pickup.
really big pickup truck in between us. But they pushed it too hard, apparently.
Yeah.
So fast.
All right. So
So fast.
back to day one. We're middle Connecticut, and the clutch is getting after lunch. The clutch was basically gone. So we pull into a Dollar General parking lot. We try to bleed it. Fluid came out great. Like no bubbles. It was just dirty, but no clutch. And so we're sitting there messing around with it, and I'm pumping the clutch, and it's not working. And so I put my finger in the reservoir because as we're pumping it, I'm watching like a little fountain come out of the clutch master cylinder reservoir, and that doesn't usually happen. So I put my finger in the reservoir over the hole in the middle. If I cover that hole, all of a sudden I've got a clutch pedal. So we said, all right, it's definitely the master cylinder. So
Yeah, the fluid was really dirty. It was like metallic.
and that was changed 5 days prior to new fluid, and the master and slave were both new within the last 1,000 miles, and the clutch line was brand new. So bad master, apparently. So we start Google fooing, where can I get a clutch master cylinder for an 84 Corvette near Hartford? Turns out there's one in West Hartford, 24 miles away through the city of Hartford was the nearest one. It was on our way, but so we proceeded to drive there, no clutch through the city of Hartford. So there's a lot of rev matching, a lot of slowing down in traffic to leave a big gap in front of me, timed a couple of lights perfectly. And a couple of times I was able to get a little bit of a pedal out of it, just enough that I could kind of jam it into first gear and get it going that way. I didn't actually have to start it in gear ever. But we coasted into the AutoZone parking lot where they had a fresh, nice concrete pad right out front. So we stopped there.
It's going to be used.
Yep, absolutely. Got the part, put it in the parking lot. It took about an hour. It was no problem. Parts was there. It was reasonably priced. Also got a slave cylinder too, because just in case. And I said, we're done. Get in the car, start it up and leave. Hit the ignition switch. Nothing. Just click, 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 click. Not the battery. Just starter would not engage. Nothing. So, well, crap. So wanted to see if it has a clutch safety switch. It sure does have a clutch safety switch. Guess what wasn't working? The clutch safety switch. So pull the panel out from under the pedals, refine that, unplug it, pull it out. I had one little piece of wire in the car that was about 4 inches long. So if I reach all the way into the footwell and jumper that one wire while holding the key on, it would start. So that's how we drove the rest of the day. Is every time we went to start the car, had to open the door, reach way down by my foot, hold this wire in place on these two terminals. And if I held the wire in place just right, I could turn the key and start the car. So that was a great way to finish the day, but it worked. We left the AutoZone parking lot with the clutch at about 75%. Occasionally had to double pump it, but it worked and it got us the rest of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yep. And Dave enjoyed eating chips, watching his friend fix his broken Chevrolet while he had his Toyota. So
We did have one problem with the Cressida. A little light on the dashboard that tells me that there's a tail light that went on.
that's true. Yeah. And I told you, oh yeah, it's the
Was
inner
it a
bulb.
tail light or was it a light on the dash that was going wrong?
No, it was a tail light.
Yeah.
It was the
there's a
inner
light
bulb on the right tail light. Fortunately, I was behind him enough to say, "Oh, that's the one." And Dave, how'd you fix that? It was pretty tough.
I took the bulb out. I like
He blew on it.
blew on it a little bit, put it back in, and it worked.
Yep. Yeah.
But then,
That was
Chris, you had another issue like further north in New York on that same night. You were losing
Was
your
it that?
throttle again. Yeah, because
Oh yeah. Was it that
Yeah.
day still? I thought
It
that was the
was.
next day.
no, because remember we were at we
Oh
went
yeah,
to
we're going up the hill.
yeah, we were going up the hill on that
Yes.
really windy
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
in
we
Paris.
just left Rhinebeck Aerodrome. We were going up this hill and they started to give me the throttle problem again to the point, and it got bad really fast to the point where I couldn't get up a hill. So I had to pull over to the side of the road and let it cool off. And they came back up. Unfortunately, other rally people stopped and said, "Are you all right?" It's like, yeah, we know we're good. Just had to let it cool off. So we let it cool off a little bit. And yeah, sure enough, it did what it does. It started back up and it was okay. But then we started to talk through, like, what is this thing? When has it done this before? And it's always when the car has been run all day and it was fully heat soaked. And the point I can know it's fully heat soaked is when the cup holders are hot. That's when I know it's really fully heat soaked. And
You
also
stuck your
when
finger in the hole where the gas was.
I
It
did,
was warm and wet, you said.
it was. Yep. Yep. It sure was.
These are the
And,
things I remember.
Absolutely. And then wow. Also, the car had less than like a third of a tank of gas. It did this on the way to the Cape too, and it did it now. So we said, well, maybe it's the fuel pump. Maybe the fuel pump is in rough shape because it ran out of gas and got, sometimes that overheats them. And when it does not get in a full tank of fresh gas, because the gas tank in this car is right above the exhaust, and that gas tank was getting hot, as I figured out by putting my finger in the tank and saying, oh, that's hot in there. Warm and wet, warm and moist.
Right.
Damp. So we said, well, let's stop and get gas the next station we see and fill it up and see if that's any better. So we did, and it was. So for the whole rest of the rally, we kept it above half a tank of gas, and it never did that problem again, and it still hasn't. That
It's not
problem.
the best part of that gas stop for me. That was the pickup with all the dogs.
That's true. Tell us about the pickup with the dogs.
Well, having nothing to do with this rally at all, but we stopped at that gas station and there was a pickup full of labs, and it
Like
was
5 of them.
Yeah. And the guy comes out, and of course, some guy starts like, I don't know what he was doing, some random guy, and the dogs start barking at him. And the guy is like, they're actually super nice. And so it's a mom and a dad and their dogs. They're puppies, except they're not puppies anymore. But that was like
So
the
good.
highlight of my day.
Yeah, Bobbin was gone.
I'm like, oh my God.
We lost Bobbin.
So anyway. So then we continued on and did checkpoints in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Absolutely in the dark. Got to the hotel, cleaned up, went over to the end of day meeting point where there weren't that many people here. There wasn't actually a very good place to meet. There wasn't really any room anywhere. Like we could see some other people, ralliers there. So whatever, we had some Italian food. We watched a local get belligerent and get kicked out by the owner. That was
Well,
fun.
that's always exciting.
And he was
Yeah.
like 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an old man. He just got drunk and belligerent.
And the old man owner was throwing his ass out.
Yeah. It was fun. A side
No,
of garlic
no
bread there
video.
means
I am
a whole
disappointed.
plate.
Right?
Yep.
You couldn't do a
We were
side
tired.
video.
Chrissy would have totally gotten the video.
I
We
would
were
have
so
done
tired
a
at this point.
Bob and do something funny, and I've been like,
I totally had no idea what was going on. I was like, what? What's happening?
His poor wife.
Yeah.
I think
it's been-
the planning of the places was obvious that they didn't anticipate as many cars and participants to show up. I mean, it's 43 cars showed up. What's that's got to be like a record for a Lemons rally.
It really does. That's because normally it's in the 20s. That is huge.
Yeah, and I think I'd heard like the disappointment of the California rally was like I think less than 10 actually, or something like that. So like that restaurant would have been fine if there was like
Like 15.
15
20
people,
people.
15, 15 participants, 15 cars, it would have been okay.
I mean, think of like, your neighborhood pizzeria joint with like a dozen tables and then like a bar on this one had a bar on the other side.
Right.
Not that one. That was also
that was
small.
that
the
was
next week.
the next day.
Okay, because that's Hungry Hippos, and that's pretty awesome.
Yes. But still no vegetables. So
Yeah. All right.
Chrissy,
So
I thought about you a lot
That's
because
so
I actually
funny and sad.
we listened to that podcast on our way up there,
Yeah.
and which I guess was actually 2 weeks ago. And you're like, I just want a vegetable from your rally way back in the day. And
anytime
we got to that night with Hungry Hippos, and there were no vegetables.
No.
None to be found. Lots of cheese.
It's impressive because Vicky and her sister were there. Vicky Fisher.
Yes.
Wasn't her sister, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vicky. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. So we're at the end of day one. We got a long way to go. We got to keep this rolling. So day two, we wake up outside of Albany, a little sprinkle of rain overnight, but we, David had already been out to his car, found me some female spade connectors so I could make a proper jumper wire for my clutch switch. So did that. Car fired right up, seemed good. So we headed out, hit a couple more checkpoints, including driving through a cemetery for quite a long time, like in a very circuitous route to try to find Uncle Sam's gravesite. Any other checkpoints that stand out early on day two for you guys?
The mountain man that wasn't, but
yeah, the mountain man that moved.
Yeah, that was one. That
was like a trickle.
The waterfalls that wasn't.
That's true. Yeah, it was a big waterfall, and it was like a garden hose on it, basically.
Aww.
But we made it there.
And then the bridge that wasn't until we found the right one.
The wrong bridge, right?
Yeah, that was at the end of the day. We picked we got the wrong 1800s bridge, but eventually we found the right one, or 1900s, 19th century, whatever it was. Early suspension bridge. And there was a bunch of actually nice bridges that we had, but that day took us all the way through upstate New York, but out into the woods and the Adirondacks, going past Speculator and Long Lake. Actually, when we were at Speculator, we stopped.
Yes, that was the Little Route 66.
But yeah, Little Route 66, which is
not the best part of that.
No, that's what I was getting to. A Little Route 66 is a couple of sheds, like decorated like Route 66 stuff that's in like the back lot of a park in Speculator. But it was a very nice little town on the lake. And then they had public bathrooms. That's one spot. So we're going over there. And right up front of the public bathrooms were these two shiny, nice C7 Grand Sport Corvettes. So, of course, we park not too far away. And we go to the bathroom, and while I'm in there, Dave, you can describe what Paul did, because I was in the bathroom when he did this. So
actually, as I was pulling up, you were parked like a few little bit of ways from those two Corvettes, and I yelled out the window, I'm like, you need to park over in the Corvette parking. Yeah. And so when I got out of the car, the one woman was giving me like this like dirty look, like, who the F are you? But you guys are in the bathrooms, and Paul just in his complete head to toe 80s,
very neon that day.
Very neon.
Fanny pack, everything.
Fanny pack, everything.
I mean,
goes over and is complimenting them on their cars, and in typical like Corvette owner fashion, like, yeah, we just had a nice roll down Route 10, and it was just hysterical. I was crying. I was laughing so hard at just how nonchalant Paul just walked up to them. Is ridiculously.
This is one of only 2,000 red Corvettes produced in the month of March in 1984 with tan interior,
but no sports seats. No.
That was my highlight of the day, honestly.
And honestly, like then at the end of the day, when Chris discovers that while he was fixing, what were you fixing? Something else. You then disconnected the door lock.
Oh yeah,
you were fixing the window. It stopped going up.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the window stopped going up.
At the hotel next to another fancy Corvette.
Yes.
Yeah, a new C8. Of course, we parked next to that when we saw it in the parking lot.
So, and then that guy comes out, and he says something about not banging the door.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about this banging my door.
And I was like, no, I wouldn't do that to a fellow Corvette owner. How could I?
It's like
let's just say he didn't park in the same spot when he came back.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I later on that day, after we were up in like Lake Placid area, which is beautiful. I actually knew where I was going and some of that stuff, which was nice. But a wonderful drive up there, and that's when the passenger side window that had been working great because that's us with the C8 Corvette owner. That's great. The passenger side window stuck down. Like I could feel it working with the switch. If I put my finger down to the door a little bit, it would go up a little and down a little. So it wasn't a wiring problem. It was jammed. So at the hotel, after we'd stopped at the supermarket and grabbed a few beers, we're sitting in the parking lot, and I've taken the whole door apart to figure out why. It turns out there was a bolt as part of the motor that had kind of moved a little bit, and the door piece had caught under it, so it couldn't go anywhere. So we got the window up, but we just couldn't put it all the way down ever again. I still have to fix that. Anyway, during doing this, I neglected to hook up the door lock latch again. So at this point, we can only unlock that door with the key, or the alarm goes off.
It's fine.
The other stuff doesn't work. So after we set the alarm off in the parking lot and had that guy next to us, yeah. And then we went to the meetup for that night was an arcade bar. So they had a bunch of vintage arcade games and just bar food. So we had fried cheese curds and
Lots of vegetables.
All the cheese.
pizza. Yeah.
It was tomato on the pizza, I think.
Oh,
Like,
good.
wow.
That's a fruit. That doesn't count.
Sauce. Yes.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
fruits and vegetables are like the same thing. You just want something that didn't have a parent or didn't
Grow in a
Yeah.
lab.
So but they had hungry hippos on this one table that we were at. So of course we played that. But I forgot to say that this is when a new problem cropped up in the Corvette this day. So we're going along in the morning. We're just in a back road. At 50
We're
miles
at
an
it.
hour
We're
in
like,
fourth
I've
gear.
lost count. How many problems is this?
Yeah,
Oh.
a lot. So driving along at 50, like cool morning, no temperature worries. The car all of a sudden just shuts off. Electrical's all still there. Dash is all still there. Everything's all still there, but just not going to run.
So
Strange.
that's what happened in the sad trombone video.
Yes, that's what
And
happened in the
Paul-
sad trombone video.
Paul couldn't.
No, Paul. Well, I hadn't perfected the technique yet to be able to describe it to someone in the other seat who's not used to this kind of thing happening. But when I was driving, like, all right, that's weird. I stepped on the clutch. I cycled the key. I was trying to start it. It wasn't going. I eventually, gave it some gas, and it kind of coughed and fired up and revved up. Okay, so I kept driving, but we didn't even stop. We kept rolling the whole time. So it ended up doing it 3 times that day. Once was on the way to dinner. Yep. This was the next day, man. On the side of the highway.
I only had the one video. I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay. So it started to do that, and it did it twice more on day 3, and it did it 4 times to be on the way home from Cape Cod. So, but by the end of the time when I did it on the way home, I was on 422, even really close. I figured out the technique of cycle the key a couple of times. Like once it happens, clutch in so you get the maximum coasting, cycle the key a few times, and then floor the gas, hit the ignition, or you don't even have to hit the ignition. You just pop the clutch again, make the car spin itself back up, keep your foot on the gas, and eventually it'll kind of cough itself to life and keep going. So at this point, I'm convinced it's the fuel pump. I think it got hurt when it ran out of gas and is subject to overheating and not working particularly well. And when the fuel gets hot and the pump is hot, it's all not working well. I think it quits, it gives up.
It's
But then you
also
cycle it, it'll
almost
work.
50 years old.
The fuel pump? No, it is was put in July of last year and has
Oh, okay. Never
had
mind.
1,000 miles on it before we left. And it was in Delphi pump, which is the OEM pump. But these older design pumps don't take well to being run out of gas.
No,
So-
they use fuel for cooling. Yes.
Yeah. So, and because this
Big
tank
deal
is
here in Las
very-
Vegas.
Yeah, the tank is very broad but short. So even if it has a quarter tank, that might be 2 or 3 inches of gas in the bottom of the tank. So it's not really covering the pump anymore at that point. And again, with the exhaust right under it, it heats up a lot. So that's what I think it is. I have another pump. That's what we're going to try before I drive it around again. But anyway, enough about the Corvette's problems. Day 3. What did you guys think of day 3?
Day 3.
The drive was beautiful.
Started in Plattsburgh, and we started at we took the ferry across
Okay.
Champlain.
That was beautiful. Yeah. It was nice, crisp fall morning. It was like perfect weather.
It's pretty windy on the lake. Like the ferry is moving around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I mean, the scenery was beautiful. I had a great time because I was just taking pictures out the window.
and we drove through
As I do.
through Montpelier and Bar, Vermont, and over to New Hampshire to Lincoln, and then across the Kankomagus Highway, and which was moderately touristy this time of year. It wasn't
Also,
too
that
bad.
might be the most northeastern name I've ever heard in my life.
Kankomagus Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the correct way to say it. Most people don't know that one. Do that right, but yeah, that's on the ferry on the lake. But the scenery was great the whole time, obviously. Then we made our way to Conway, New Hampshire, which is kind of a lot of this is places I have been many times in my youth, so it was fun to be in all those places again. Made our way south through New Hampshire, hit up a couple more checkpoints in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, including a KFC Taco Bell with a cemetery. Because, and that's as we were going to this place, I noticed on the side of the road there were a bunch of these little tiny cemeteries that had fewer than 10 gravestones in them. I think that was the village. They had put something, and eventually the world changed around it, but here they are. Yeah, there it is. KFC Taco Bell. There's 3 graves, but
Don't eat these foods or you'll end up there.
Yes.
But like,
Pretty
so
Or where did the meat for the tacos come from?
Hmm.
that actually
Long
was the
degraded.
hashtag secret menu not so great. So, but that was one of those, like, you have to kind of sort of figure out what they want you to go to. And it gives you a town and it says KFC / Taco Bell / cemetery. So I'm like Googling KFC in this town and Taco Bell in this town. And then somehow it popped up that there was this cemetery, like these gravestones on the corner. So that one was another, like some of them were easy to find and others were less so. You had to kind of sort of figure it out.
Good.
So the moral of the story is if you're looking for something obscure, just call Bobbin.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, first call apparently Eric Rude and
Or Jeff Stobbs is the one who
Yeah.
think of with a lot of those things.
This one, she was the rally master. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're not gonna be able to see it.
except all I see is the cow.
There.
There are
Yeah.
notes. I got 3 pages of notes while we were doing this. That's why there wasn't that much bickering between us. She was
That was
busy
day
the
one.
whole time.
That was day one. The bickering started day 2.
So you weren't doing the notes anymore. You had
Yeah, she had it all figured out by then. So yeah.
yeah.
You
Good.
know.
And then we finished at a brewery on just south of Ipswich, Mass, in Essex on the North Shore.
Mhm.
And that was a nice place, big place, plenty of room for us, good beer, good food. We were way early because we skipped one checkpoint that day that would have brought us into Maine. We're like, we don't really need to do that. Not going to win anything. So we had more beer and relaxed.
You know, that was great. I was glad we got there actually early. We got to have some time to unwind and relax and
Yeah.
watch the place start rolling in.
All right. So what do you guys think of the general atmosphere, things you liked? Let's talk about that kind of stuff next.
You want to go? Okay.
It was super fun. Totally doing it again, whether he wants to or not, but you are. So, and yeah, everybody, just like always, everybody was really nice. And yeah, it was a good time. Vegetables.
It's interesting you bring that up
Vegetables.
because the 2023 Lemons calendar dropped today.
Yes, I am aware.
And they've got all the rallies and they've got the shows and of course they've got the races. But the big news on the rally is there's one in Alaska.
Yeah, I saw
Mhm.
Alaska. That's exciting.
This one appears to be pretty much the same as this year. Well, it's the same 3 days and called the same thing. Starts and ends in Boston still. So
It goes into Maine. It goes to Bangor, Maine. It's like Bangor, Maine to Bangor, Maine. Yes, it's a loop, is what it says right on the schedule. So
They're redoing the Bangor to Bangor rally. That's fantastic.
yes, well, similar. I think that one was a longer one that went. Didn't that one go like around the Great Lakes or something?
that was a
But-
Great Lakes mistake. Well,
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway.
I think I've got some ideas for routing stuff that I might tell Jeff about, because having lived in that area, there's some really epic roads that I wish like on day one, if we had gone out Route 2 in Massachusetts and up into southern Vermont, like near Bennington in that area, incredible driving roads and a bunch of weird stuff out there. So things like that would have been more interesting than going into southern Connecticut, for example.
Yeah, there's just also so much traffic in southern Connecticut. Like, I was thrilled that we all agreed we're not doing that. So
Yeah.
like, one of the things was actually a waterfall next to an apartment building that I used to actually live in. But so it's really, like, not all that, but it's just the whole area is just so congested. And then that was when the car was still kind of acting up. That would have been more difficult. But I think that I like the length. We talked about, we looked at some of the other rallies, and they, the ones that are a bit longer and more spread out. This was good because it was like, there's always stuff going like around, and it's a good length. Like another couple of days, that might have been rough.
Yeah, I agree. I think the
3 was
days
perfect.
Perfect. And the thing, this is my first anything rally, and I was happy to see that it was as busy as it was, because you're not on the road like just all day driving, like it's like one stop and then, short drive to another stop and then maybe another 45 minutes to the next one. It was a lot of fun. I was impressed, because this was really, she wanted to do this one when it first came up several years ago when they first started this one. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It's something we can do together. It'll be fun, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much fun it really was, and then doing it with Chris and Paul was awesome. Like having them, and then Vicky with Audra was there. It's like, there's people that we know well, and we could have a good time, no matter what. But Paul definitely brought the party, without a doubt. I mean, Paul was awesome. It was great to get to know Paul better, and it was a good time. Without a doubt.
It was great running with you guys, not just because we didn't have to bring a jack and some extra tools and stuff. Right. No, just to have someone to bounce ideas off of, to be there for support for, because these are crappy cars, so who knows what goes wrong. Just to have someone to share the experience with is fun. And so I agree, it was a great time. And having the radios, the car to car walkie talkies, was great, so we could hassle each other and talk through the whole time as needed. So would highly recommend that. We used to use CBs back in the day, but now having the race car radios, it's like, well, this is way easier. We'll just do that. So yeah, that worked out great. Yeah, I think the only disappointment I had coming from other rallies was that I used to really enjoy the end of the day. Everyone got to the end of the day hotel, and it would just be a parking lot party. Everyone hanging around their cars, having some drinks, getting some food, hanging out there, talking about the day. And there wasn't a whole lot of that. And I was disappointed in that aspect of this. It was
do you
limited.
think that was because of this particular event, because of the venues, because it was too big, or just you think that's the way these rallies are going?
It might be option 2, but also I think had to do with, it was this time of year, so it was dark earlier and cold earlier. And I think there were a number of people spread out that weren't at the event, the recommended hotel, because some of them were a little pricier and some of them were, people could do better, and there's no like incentive to be there. They just say, hey, here's a hotel. And I was hoping that it was going to be like the old rallies of old, where pretty much everybody was at the hotel, and the parking lot parties were really wonderful. Like, we had such a good time with those. Like, that was almost the best part of it.
And it was a couple of years ago, but I did the one with Donnie, and it was that way. It was the parking lot, and I didn't even say parties. It was just a parking lot, sit around, stare at cars, and drink beer, which is really, that's a perfect party for all of us.
Yeah.
We all love that kind of stuff.
Just to talk about the day, like, well, what problems did you guys have? What did you run into? Like that was always interesting before, and I missed that. The only thing we really had, like, talk with one night in Plattsburgh, we ended up talking to these 2 guys that had a Cutlass Sierra, and while the guy with the E21 BMW was doing a clutch slave cylinder in the parking lot. But like, that was like the extent of it.
That also gives you some context of who goes with what car, especially with a crowd that's this big. If you're standing out next to people's cars, you're like, oh, is this yours? Like, you kind of put a face with the name with the car kind of thing, if you had that.
Like I brought a folding table and chairs thinking it would just be kind of hanging out by the car and
Yeah.
like getting food. Never came out of the trunk.
Oh, that's
Okay.
a shame.
I think a lot
It
of
is-
it had to do with the time of year with all the leaf peepers, you know, the people up there for the sightseeing. And then there was a lot of people that signed up late, because I understand that most of those 40 cars signed up within the last like week and a half. And a
Oh,
lot of the hotels were full because it's a busy time of the year up there. So I know Bill Fisher said that like he couldn't get rooms at one of them. I forget which one. It might have been the second night, because they were all full.
And I also think the meetup spots they weren't there. So they were sort of encouraging you to go to the quote meetup spot. So
Yeah.
I think the second night, I think people did that. They went
Yeah.
like to the arcade. At one point was like pretty much all rally people.
Yeah, and it was packed, but that was nice. We actually did get to see a lot of people and talk
Yes.
to a lot of people, and that
Whereas
was
the night
nice.
before, that was not really an option. And we were a little
Yeah.
bit later, but it wasn't even set up that way. Like you couldn't, like
Yeah.
that Italian place
The
was not
restaurant
really
was
the
full.
way, like
Right.
set up in the way that would work.
Yeah.
But if
That
I
was my-
may, I'm
Please.
sorry. Go ahead. Finish, Chris.
I said that was my only real disappointment. Like I would have liked to have more of that going on to
Okay.
meet more people. Like I ended up obviously talking with Dave and Bobbin a lot, but then also like Greg and Dave from Cheese Bowl. Just like we know those guys and they're nice guys. We already talked to them, or there's talked to Vicky and Amanda, people we already kind of knew because it was easy to gravitate them because we didn't have time to kind of meet more people.
Mm-hmm. So, but what I'm hearing is you'd still do another one, just not this
Mhm.
car. And
Yeah.
Bobbin and Dave absolutely going to do another one, probably the same car because yours worked.
As it does.
I think the car broke the exact right amount for Paul to have the
Yes.
appropriate rally experience. Because if it didn't ever break, like you're missing, it's like, Jeff's thing. Well, you went on safari. How was it? Well, the hippo flipped my boat and the elephant trampled my tent and I got chased by a lion and a monkey stole my lunch. Well, you saw a monkey, you saw a hippo, you saw an elephant, right? That's more what it was. And it wasn't that bad because everything we fixed, we got everywhere we're going to go. Just a slight amount of adversity made it more interesting.
All right.
But-
But across the board, I'm seeing 100% because Chrissy, you guys met during one of these things. In fact,
doesn't mean I want to go on it again.
the oldest of these of the impetus of this organization, we all started on crab can rallies. I love crab can rallies. So all right, but
You were
Chrissy's
missing
done-
it when you were looking at the pictures, though.
Only from afar of like, what's going on? Bobbin, what's going on? Are you stuck by the side of the road? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, because I was feeling jealous until
Look.
right now.
Right? Let me just go eat some chips and I could just hang out here.
All right, so 4.5 out of 5 people on your screen
Sure.
say do a Lemons rally. The new schedule is up this
I'm
year.
saying
There's some
do it.
good-
I just don't say it. I don't want. I'm okay not doing it.
You know, you totally should come. Just maybe not in that time.
Yeah. Last rally Chrissy did was in the NSX. That was a little.
Yeah.
Great. That was
That was
You
fantastic.
did an NSX.
All day.
Is Mazda still street legal, right?
I'm sorry.
Is the Mazda street legal?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Not
mean,
that
I'm-
we'd want to.
I think you'd
Oh.
rather drive the Corvette than the Mazda.
I mean, I
3 on a
love driving the
rally.
Mazda. It's just a little rough. It's just a little thin. There's a.
You get bonus
I mean, it's
points
lovely to
for
drive, but getting
You
in
wouldn't
and
worry
out of
about the Mazda
cage-
getting you there, but no.
No, just getting it out of the cage, and it's not a nice place to be for 300 miles a day. It's just
In
not
traffic,
it's
stuck
not
a little
behind
loud.
trucks. Yeah.
loud. Yep, hot. Because even if it's cold out, because there's no insulation. So I don't think that's the right answer.
Oh well.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
is it time for us to move on to the next subject, which we call Chrissy reminds you of something?
Yes.
Chrissy reminds you of something. Is this this is this new?
We're
I
making
got
this
it.
up. We're making
I
this
like
up.
it. I was
Chrissy
like, wait, wait,
reminds you of something.
We're doing it live.
love it. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, this is great. So, if you're going to New Hampshire, I hope you are. If you are, we have all kinds of parties going on. First of all, on Saturday after track goes cold, shortly, you have a little bit of time between track goes cold and dinner time, but we are having a potluck, which is fantastic. Sign up. There is a sign up on the forums, or at least make a plan. If you don't sign up till later, that's fine. Just plan to make something. No potato salad, no half-eaten pizzas, no half bag of potato chips, please, and thank you. Bring your food cooked. Bring a spoon, please. And that's gonna be potluck. It's gonna be awesome. As usual, bring your stuff and bring your team. So we're also doing a bring the back of your liquor cabinet party. We've talked about this a few times, but if you, what better way to celebrate the 16-year of Lemons is when you were a 16-year-old when going into the back of your liquor cabinet to find all of the gross stuff that your parents wouldn't notice that you drank. Bring that with you. The dirtier, the grosser bottle, rather, the better. We will have a bar. I think we might have a bartender, or we might just have a whole lot of gross booze and shots. But we will have so bring your bottles. We've got a couple boxes, so we're pretty excited about that. And then there's going to be a costume contest and party. So Team Floodstang 147 is hosting a party. They're giving away prizes that may be good. They may not give away prizes, whatever they decide, on a whole bunch of the most common topics of costumes, sexiest, greatest themes, most uncomfortable. There's a whole list on the forums. And they're going to bring their speakers and sound system, and there's going to be a cool party afterwards. So yeah, Saturday night's going to be off the hook. Can't wait. And bring your stuff. So bring your costumes, bring your food, bring your liquor. Going to be
It's
a
definitely
party.
gonna be no hangover Sunday morning.
Nope. Everybody's
none.
going to say whoever's
Fresh as a
driving.
daisy.
What if
Yeah.
if it's
We
my that's
said-
driving? I better stop
Yeah.
drinking. Something
Uh-huh.
like that.
Good.
It's gonna be good.
It is going to be good. It's always a great party in New Hampshire. It really always is. I even remember way back in the day when they had the disco stage on wheels, the
That's a
bouncy
thing.
castle. This has been a fantastic. Was it when the rapper, what was his name? Spose or I do, you know. But there's
I
that.
don't know.
All right. And it is a time for a quick on the
Cool.
spot.
Yay.
I got it on the spot. The Corvette is served its time with us. You know, we brought it back to life. It went on an adventure. I'm going to fix the things that are broken, or they're obviously broken, you know, like the fuel pump and the door locks, and the clutch thing. Aside from that, when it runs great now, actually, because it's drove a lot. It drove it almost 2,000 miles in a week. That car has never driven 2,000. It's driven 2,000 miles in a year before. That's about it. So, but it's time for it to go. So on the spot, where should I list it for sale?
Ooh.
Where's going to be a
Doesn't,
good market for an 84 Corvette?
Doesn't Racing Junk have just like a street car section?
They have a whole Corvette section, actually.
Oh, they
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say since it's the Doug, I'm going to go with Dave on that one. Since it's it is a relatively unique, just shy of collector's car. It's the Doug Nash 4.3. It's got a great story. It's got how many thousand miles, original miles?
Up to 46 now.
46,000 original miles. That is a racing junk. You know, there's a Corvette enthusiast out there that will trip over themselves to get that car and
Oh, yeah.
love it and love everything about it.
Yeah, even though it's probably the worst Corvette ever, it's still an 80s Corvette.
Oh, it's not the 307 smogged California C3. And come on.
Second
now.
worst Corvette ever. Second worst.
You raised the bar.
Yes. No, I think it's just the nostalgia alone on the 80s cars, and any of them has driven the value up and the popularity of them up. I mean, look at Radwood, you know, like it's just like that's a perfect thing, because I think that car is nice enough, because even though it doesn't have the greatest paint job, and it's nice enough to be like a fun car to go drive to a Radwood or to go to a show.
yeah.
Or, you know, like,
It's totally a fine driver for someone that thinks it's rad and wants to kind of tinker here and there and keep it
Yeah.
in its best shape.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
You want to sell it for money? Are you trying to sell it for a lot of money?
I'm trying to get a fair market value for it. How about that?
Okay. My one idea was Craigslist, just to see what kind of characters you'd get.
And document it.
I kind of am feeling like you post a picture or two, you write a funny ad, and you see what you get. And maybe you don't sell it there. But I kind of feel like you have some opportunities with this car to be able to come up with something that is just adding to the story. You took this on a rally. You don't tell them you took it on a rally, but you have all these memories.
Oh, I
of
think that
taking it
totally
on a
goes with the
rally.
story that this just went on a 2,000-mile road trip.
Sure. Yes. But, kind of marketing it to the kind of person that you're looking for. And you'll just, I just want to see what you'd get. That may not be where you get the most money or you actually sell it, but that's just where I'm feeling like
For the
it should go.
entertainment.
Hey bro,
value.
I got 2 PlayStation 4s, 3 broken laptops. I
Yes.
just sold my 300Z because I had a court date coming up to these racer guys.
exactly
This
what I
Corvette would be
want.
perfect.
I've got an ATV. It kind of runs.
I have a squirrel that I can put on a leash. I'll bring it over so you can
Right.
see it. I'm just feeling like selling something
Yeah.
on Craigslist.
Here, I was thinking cars and bits, but all right.
I mean, later.
Cars and bits.
You
It's
could do it there later.
Doug DeMuro's version of Bring a Trailer. It's mostly targeted at 80s and 90s stuff.
Wherever it goes, I think it wouldn't be too hard to get our buddies over at Bid Nerds to talk about it. So we'll get us a copy of the ad. We'll drop it off.
Yeah, then that's pressure. Now I got to take good pictures of it if they're going to look at it.
And they're gonna post it somewhere and people watch the show. So
they will make fun of bad pictures, but we've seen your ability to do that. And do
I
good
can. I
pictures.
just got to go to the right place.
But if you do it on Craigslist, you don't.
No, well then I just take a picture in the dark.
Yep.
That's about right.
Yep.
Like,
And then
just like a tail light.
if you
Half the
even
car, right?
extra bonus points if you get something interesting in the flash of the, like, what do you call it, the back when you can,
Reflection.
the reflection. That's the word I'm
absolutely,
looking for. Yes.
You do it while wearing a Speedo. Yeah.
Yep. I've got ideas.
You should do a bingo card just for this.
Yes.
Craigslist
The kind of
bingo. You get offered
interested in
broken
your Corvette.
PlayStations. You get offered broken laptops. The middle, the super bonus, like the Scrabble triple word score is squirrel on a leash.
It's
This
the
is
center.
great.
The center square. The center square is someone offers you 1/3 of the asking price as the only thing they say in the response,
with
Yeah.
no punctuation and no capitalization.
$200.
One run-on sentence.
$DOLLORS dollars.
Oh, all right.
Oh, this is awesome.
This is fantastic. What do you think, Chris? Where should Chris list the Corvette? Tell us in the comments. Tell us at everyone.racers. Tell us on the Instagram. Tell us on Facebooks. Where should Chris list the Corvette? Because it has done its thing. Bobbin, thank you so much for joining us and keeping Dave out of trouble. Dave, they'll see you in a couple of weeks. So if you guys
both in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that's true. Absolutely. Bobbin, do you want us to give out your Instagram or not so much?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
All right. So you can follow Bobbin. You can see all of her great photos that she took at Bobbin SP on Instagram. So it's at BOBBINSP at Instagram. Also check out her stuff. She'll post a bunch of things to the 3-Pedal Mafia page on Facebook after the Halloween Hoopty Fest. She does a great job taking pictures. I've used several of them for my profile on Facebook, but I'm not saying that out loud. In the meantime, thank you for downloading us. I don't have a speaker because I'm not Jeff, and it's okay because Jeff is a speaker and it never works anyway. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We hope you will join us in the world of driving, racing, and building and rallying, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you've enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. If you enjoy listening to it, send it to a friend, see if they like it. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, because that's how they promote it. Do the same thing on Google Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever you're getting your podcasts. Even if you hate us, give us 5 stars and then tell us why. If you've got any questions, show ideas, drop us a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text us at 484-243-0455. Find us on the Instagram, the Twitter at everyone.racers. Of course, we're on YouTube. and Facebook under that name. And we're even on Reddit at /E1R, which I will be uploading all of my picks from the recent Luft cult. We got kicked off of TikTok. We're still not sure why, but we blame Jeff. Thanks again for week. Keep the shiny side up. Unless it's an 84 Disco Corvette, you're going to need to crawl up underneath it anyway. Then just keep the wheels down.